part of what's so
Hear it.
critical here is understanding that this isn't just about teaching this to others if you're a clinician. It's important that we do this practice ourselves. This is how we become teachers, is that we have our own personal practice.
Like with every new behavior change, repetition is really helpful. And in the beginning, it might feel that when you start mindfulness practice, it's like just another chore that you have to fit into your already very full day. We often compare it with exercise. So, exercise is good for you, and you have to do it in order to really reap the benefits of exercise. And you know that it doesn't always feel good. So sometimes you don't want to do it. Sometimes while you do it, you ask yourself, why are you spending all this time on this? But you keep doing it because you know it really helps you. With mindfulness practice, it's very similar. So we do it, and we often say you don't have to like it, you just have to do it. And that again goes away from this idea that whenever you meditate, you feel relaxed and it's wonderful, or you're in a blissful state. You're not. Very often it's tedious and your mind is all over the place, or you might feel actually quite stressed in that moment, and that is fine. It will still change the way you feel in life in general, and it will still change how you respond in situations.
There's a lot of judgments that happen here. So bring a sense of compassionate curiosity to this experience. What's going to come up? What's going to be revealed in this moment here?
What is really helpful to support your mindfulness practice is to find a time during the day that works for you. For a lot of people, it helps to do it at the beginning of the day. Some people do it, they drive to work and then just sit in the car before they walk in. To do it for 5 or 10 minutes can be helpful. It can be during lunch break. It can be at the end of the day if you're not too tired. So in the beginning, it might need some experimentation to find out what really works for you. And then just keep on doing that and make it something that you do every day. So if you combine it with something that you already do, it can be helpful. It can also be very helpful to actually do it in the same place every day, because we have something that we call muscle memory or body memory, so your body will remember. So you get into your chair at the same time of the day and your body will say like, ooh, we're meditating now, and that will be helpful.
So part of what we're doing with this practice, the same posture, the same time, the same place, it doesn't always have to be that way, but we're doing something called stimulus control. So we're linking a posture to a practice over and over time, just like the dog salivating with the bell, can sometimes feel a great sense of relief from the disengagement from the ruminative mind.
So nowadays we're very lucky because there are a lot of resources out there where you can learn mindfulness. The best thing we think is to find a group with a teacher, if that is in your area, because we find that people really learn the best in a group. We're learning from each other. But if you don't have that, there are also a lot of online resources now. You can even do online classes, sometimes even now with video, like with Google Hangout or Skype. You can learn from books. There are a lot of free resources also on audio where you can download guided meditations. It's really wonderful now. And we also have provided you a list of resources that you can check out.
We can aim our attention well. It's hard to sustain it, but we work on this with our practice, moment by moment.
We are here for our November Arizona Faith Gathering. Thank you for joining us this morning. We will be recording, so again, just know that if you see us turning off our screens, it's just for a better quality video that we can share with others in the future. Next slide, please. So my name is Dee Person. I am the Assistant Director for the Arizona Coalition for Military Families, and I'm very excited to be a part of this today as we dive into some of the topics that we know as a community really do help our military service members, our veterans, their families, and their caregivers. This is near and dear to my heart. I am a actual yoga therapist in my other life, and so really believe in these other modalities and practices that you just were hearing about. Yoga really is a moving meditation, and so we're going to talk about some different things today, and how it's not one size fits all for all the people that we work with in our military connected community. Next slide. What's really exciting, ladies and gentlemen, is this meeting is our quarterly meeting for our Be Connected Faith Network. This work's been going on for over a decade, and you'll get to talk with Mike Wald here in a second, who's been really integral in that work. It was an idea and a need in our community, and it's officially launched as of June 2021, our Be Connected Faith Network. And I just want to take your attention to these slides to talk about the things that we do know for our military connected population that we work with. Many of the people on this call are service members or veterans themselves, or somehow military connected. So just one of the facts that we know is that veterans are 5 times more likely to approach their faith leader. And that's really important to know when they're struggling compared to a behavioral health specialist, a mental health provider. And that's some of the work that we're going to do here today, is just talking about how we connect to our military connected population and offer resources and support. Because we know in the state of Arizona, we have over 500,000 veterans, service members, family members, and caregivers. And that's a ripple effect, how they are feeling and how it impacts them in their lives. So today we're going to, again, share some additional resources. But really our main goal is always about upstream prevention and reducing suicide. So we know this spiritual connection gives an opportunity to give hope and reduce that sense of isolation. So next slide, please. Perfect. Thank you so much. So so we know that the faith communities play a major role in our post-military reintegration for our veterans. It's a really important part of their healing process. And we know that there are faith communities in every community throughout our state of Arizona. So in the rural areas, there may be more access to a faith community than to a behavioral health specialist. And we understand that there is special connections that are formed in your community. And that's so important that we have this cross generational aspect of it too. We know that some of our older veterans prefer to talk to a faith leader, as we mentioned, as opposed to a behavioral health specialist. And then we have some of our younger veterans that come back. And again, just having that ability to feel part of their community, give back. We know our faith communities are big in serving. So these are some key elements that we know that will invite people back and feel that connection that's so important when we're working with the military connected population. Next slide. So I really share this because I love this list, right? We need everyone. We need everyone to know not only about Be Connected, but our faith network. And so we ask you all the different roles that we play, the many hats that we wear, talking about ways that you can get involved. If you have, again, a faith community that you think would be interested in knowing more, getting trained and equipped to help and support our service members, veterans, and their family members, reach out to us. We're here to help them. We're helping by providing training, military culture, and you're going to learn some more again today about the resources that we can also connect you with in our ecosystem of support. Next slide. So here's our great agenda for today. We've already gone through our welcomes. Mike Wald is going to provide that Be Connected Faith Network update. We have 2 great speakers, Pat Upah and David Donaldson will be doing a little demonstration interactive work with us today. And then we have our keynote speaker, Vasu Bandhu, who I really look forward to hearing to and about his journey. And then we'll go into some more personal breakout sessions, which is nice because we get into smaller groups. We have the opportunity to discuss some questions, provide feedback, and again, just a little bit more time to interact with one another. And then we'll come back, we'll have some closing remarks, and we'll send you on your way. But we're so glad to have you here today. And it's my pleasure, next slide, to introduce Mike Wald. He is our co-chair for the Be Connected Faith Network, and again, has been integral in the last decade of the work that we've been doing here in Arizona. So the floor is yours, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you for that great introduction, Dee. Appreciate that. First of all, I want to thank you for attending today's faith gathering. I'm the co-leader of the Be Connected Faith Network, along with Thomas Winkle, who is the director of the Arizona Coalition for Military Families. Dee covered some of this, but basically, in a nutshell, our mission is to reach out to the faith communities that support our veterans in Arizona and help them be equipped to serve them better. We provide training, we provide coaching, all types of materials and that sort of thing. I want to give a quick update on what has been going on since our last quarterly meeting. Our implementation team, which is well chaired by Lee Rodriguez, has accomplished quite a few things since that time. I think the first one I want to talk about is that Lee has created our first newsletter for the Faith Network. That came out in October. We hope you found it interesting. Lee will be publishing one each month. If you would like to put anything from your faith communities into the newsletter related to veterans, events, etc., we're sure happy to do that. Lee is going to put the email, it's a simple one, it's just bccc@arizonacoalition.org. Bravo, Charlie, Charlie, Charlie at arizonacoalition.org. And Lee will put that in there. Here's a list of some of the activities. Lee has done most of these. First of all, Lee did the opening prayer for the Sholo Stand Down event. We participated in the Women's Veterans Experience by Department of Veteran Services. Had a table at the Prescott Hope Fest. I think Lee was up there and got soaked, but the people still hung in there. Lee moderated the VA Mental Health Summit Tribal Roundtable. We're doing all these things, by the way, and she even spoke a little Dine, and it was pretty interesting for her. She also attended the surprise interfaith breakfast. Why are we doing these things? We are trying to reach out to the faith communities and the faith community organizations to let them know what we're doing for those in those faith communities that want to serve veterans through those faith communities who want to be able to help them as much as possible. Members of the Be Connected Network attended the Be Connected open house. Hope some of you were able to do that. We met some of the partners from around the state. Lee attended the Experienced Interfaith gathering hosted by the Sikh community, engaged members of multiple faith communities in that one. Lee has been very busy. She's met with many, many faith communities. She met with the ACES Consortium founder, Sangu and Yu. We're going all over the place, at least mainly Lee, to do that. Other faith community activities. I'm again leading the Faith and Spirituality track at the Arizona Coalition for Military Families Symposium, taking place April 19th to 20th, 2023. We don't have the registration link up yet, but you can look at what happened last year at, you can just go into arizonacoalition.org/symposium for that one. I've designed 2 sessions. One of them is really close to my heart. It has to do with the relationship between therapy and spirituality. I was sorry to find out that one of my friends, she has a PhD in theology. She applied to get a PhD. She has a social work undergraduate to get a PhD in social work. And when they interviewed her, they said, we have a major concern about your spirituality and how it might affect the way you do your therapy. I thought, what? So at any rate, I'm kind of on that track to try to clarify those relationships. I'd like now to introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is Pat Upah. Pat spent 30 years in the United States Army Nurse Corps, retiring as a colonel. In 1968, she was deployed to Vietnam, where she was stationed with the 93rd and 95th Evacuation Hospitals. In 1970, Pat left the military for 10 years and started a family. She returned to the Army Reserve in 1979 and 1991. She was reactivated when active and served in the 403rd Combat Support Hospital out Saudi Arabia during Desert Storm. She's worked in various positions, ending her military career as the commander of the 6,253rd United States Army Reserve Hospital. Pat has worked in so many positions that we don't have time to tell them all in medical, surgical, behavioral health. She retired from nursing in 2012, but having served the last 10 years as CEO for Banner Behavioral Health Hospital. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and a Master's in Human Relations and Organizational Business. She's received numerous civilian and military awards, including the DAV award, and she was inducted into the Arizona Veterans Hall of Fame in 2012. Currently serves as Vice President for the Arizona Veterans Hall of Fame Society. She's on the Board of Directors for Veteran First. She'll be telling us a little bit about that organization. She'll also be talking about a very successful program in Veterans First. It's called Instruments for Success, and it introduces veterans to the power of connecting with music and playing musical instruments. Pat, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to everyone on the call for inviting me to share about Instruments for Success and Veterans First, and as a local organization, kind of how we got to where we are today, and what we can do to, help veterans in our community. I want to give you a little bit of background. In 2012, I met Brian Mancini. He was a severely wounded combat medic who had founded the Honor House program, and I joined his board. The foundation of the programs developed by Honor House were that each veteran's experience and issues they are dealing with are unique, and that, as was said before, one size does not fit all. While supporting the use of traditional medicine, we realized it was only part of the answer. But when coupled with complementary and alternative modalities, we saw much more successful outcomes. We helped to develop a program with Teros, which ran for several years and included yoga, equine therapy, acupuncture, meditation, music, traditional therapies, and other complementary modalities. Unfortunately, it was a bit ahead of its time, and insurance did not readily embrace paying for it. When that program closed, we started several similar community-based programs. Sadly, Brian passed away in 2017. The organization developed similar programs on a community-based rather than a facility-based program. We continued the programs even when we had the challenges of COVID these past few years. But in 2021, the board realized that we could be more effective and reach more veterans in various ways if we merged with our longtime partner, Veterans First. Veterans First's primary mission had been serving female veterans. With this merger, that mission has expanded to include a male veteran outreach program, which I help oversight, and an older adult veteran program under Dr. Christine Burchot, which I think many of you know. I was asked to talk about one of the most successful programs and modalities started under Honor House and now continuing under Veterans First, our Instruments for Success program. Throughout history, we know that there has been music of some form in every culture. I believe that is because music can reach into those dark recesses of the soul where the spoken word sometimes just cannot reach. I know most of you work in the faith communities, so I know that you have seen the power of music. Stephen Bradford, an Army veteran suffering from post-traumatic stress, depression, substance abuse issues, and 2 failed suicide attempts to take his life, went through the Honor House program, and the trajectory of his life and focus changed. Stephen loved music and played the guitar, and with time, he wanted to reach back, as so many of our veterans who go through these programs do, to help others find their path. Stephen came up with the idea of starting a program that would give veterans the instruments they needed to move forward. This included all types of instruments. Our first recipient was a combat veteran who actually was a barber. And upon returning home, he could not afford the barber tools he needed to get a job. He now is the manager of a shop and gives back by cutting homebound veterans' hair when needed. This idea would become the Instruments for Success program, with the core being gifting musical instruments to veterans, which are donated from individuals in the community, and then teaching them to play. We are currently running 3 weekly teaching programs, one at the Ability Center in North Phoenix, one in partnership with Guitars for Vets for veterans at ASU, and more recently as part of the VA Whole Health and Recreation programs. We give instruments to some of the graduates of the substance abuse and PTS programs at the VA Medical Center, and to veterans who are in long-term care settings after consulting with their social worker. It is a way of keeping them connected and engaged as they learn and gain confidence in themselves. The program has given out over 400 different instruments. One of the key issues with individuals dealing with post-traumatic stress, moral injury, and TBI is isolation. Connecting with them, giving them a guitar, drums, or other instruments, and then having them become part of a supportive network, learning and growing with other veterans can bring them out of that isolation and open them up to then explore other things and become part of our men's outreach outings called R&R. This past year, we visited the military museum, we partnered and went fly fishing. We partnered with Operation Shockwave and walked alpacas, which we're going to do again on November 17th. And we did a drum circle. We have outings for women veterans under Veterans First called Muster and Mingle, and the Heal Her Arts programs, which have been going for many years and are very successful. Research has shown that learning a musical instrument can also help to remap the brain, which is so important when dealing with TBIs, depression, and post-traumatic stress. Music engages several different areas in the brain at once. Learning to play an instrument, as anyone who has knows, requires concentration, lots of concentration, which can naturally create a state of mindfulness, shifting negative thoughts and inducing a sense of calm, reducing anxiety and depression, so common in the veterans that we serve. Through this program, there are so many stories of veterans finally finding that modality that resonates and works for them. You know, veterans like Dane and Brett and Teresa and Karen, who have found a new purpose for their lives and a way out of the deep, dark hole of depression and often substance abuse that so many of our veterans who end up taking their lives find themselves in. Dane has a successful job and is advancing in that job at the VA Medical Center. He now has an apartment and is moving on with his life. He plays at numerous events with the group and is always there to support other veterans, helping them to find housing, resources, and kind of anything that they might need. Teresa and Karen have been reaching back and becoming part of the core group, organizing the guitar lessons and the other music lessons and actually teaching guitar themselves. Last week, we put out a call, which all of these veterans helped with, when a female veteran was being evicted from her home and only had a couple of days to pack up. And so it was 2 full days of veterans helping this female veteran who at the time was feeling so alone and struggling with the overwhelming task that she had in front of her. You know, there are many stories because of music and instruments for success, helping these veterans to move on. A number of the veterans have formed a band, and they have played at the VA Medical Center in Phoenix and Prescott. Stephen has organized open mic nights that individuals in the VA Medical Center Building 31 substance abuse program and individuals from the state home have attended and really enjoyed. These were especially impactful, you know, as COVID was being lifted. They were not open to the general public, and there was a very limited number of musicians that they could bring in. But it was just so well received by these veterans. For some veterans, music is the door opener to moving on, reconnecting, and engaging in life again. We currently have 3 drop-off sites for instruments, new or used, at 3 locations around the valley. Jennifer Bishop coordinates pickups if needed for us, and I can post her number in the chat as well as mine and in Stevens. We are revising our flyer with the merger and would really appreciate getting it and the story of Instruments for Success out to the faith community. I don't know if you can really see the flyer. This is the cover of it with lots and lots of pictures of different events and places where you know, these veterans have reached out and played. It's been a very, very successful program, which is expanding every single week.
Say that, put as much information as you'd like in the chat, Pat. Thanks for that great presentation. And it's just pointing out again how important, what would I say, non-traditional modalities, that's what we call it in Western medicine. Of course, what we call non-traditional is traditional in a lot of other cultures, like acupuncture and meditation, other things like that. But anyway, I really appreciate that. And you've really shown how, quote, non-traditionals can be integrated in with, you know, other more standard treatments. So thank you, Pat. So just, you know, put the website for Veterans First, any other information, any links that you'd like to put in. I really appreciate you doing that.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Pat.
Keep playing music.
Yeah, thank you. What I wanted to do, I wanted to introduce a person who's been extremely supportive of our work. That's Colonel Wanda Wright. She's the director of the Arizona Veterans Department of Veteran Services. So, Wanda, if you would like to say any words to people.
Well, Thomas and I went to speak to the 161st this morning. They've had some crises over there, and we really explained how Be Connected can support their work. But, you know, we talked to the chaplain over there, and we also talked to their mental health advisor over there just to see how we could support them. And I always think that faith is an important aspect of all of those things, right? And so I mainly popped in to really hear the speakers. I love Pat, and she's got such good experiences under her belt to convey to others about how faith can be very purposeful in our healing. So I just want to say hi, everybody, and you know, thanks for doing this. I think this is one of those very important social determinants of health that we really need to spend time on.
Oh.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much, Wanda, and thanks for all your support way back from the beginning of the coalition, the Be Connected, the Faith Network, everything. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Our next speaker is David Donaldson. David is a U.S. Army veteran. He served from 2001 to 2013 with 2 tours in Iraq. He's worn a lot of hats in the service of his fellow veterans, starting in the community and crisis response before coming to the Phoenix VA as peer support David now is a board certified health and wellness coach with the VA Whole Health Program. David says that he first learned about whole health when he attended the Whole Health in Your Practice program in December 2019. He said he was hooked immediately, joined the Whole Health Steering Committee, and once Phoenix was able to bring on the whole health physicians, he was one of the first to come on board. Dave will be introducing us to the healing effects of singing bowls. He'll also probably say a few things about the whole health program itself. So David, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Mike. Everyone can hear me okay?
Yep.
Excellent. So as Mike introduced, my name is David Donaldson, Health and Wellness Coach at the Phoenix VA. And as he said, I started in crisis. My service went from being an infantryman that was basically in crisis to then working in crisis. And I didn't know about the other side, right? The holistic side of things. I only knew about the reactionary. And once I started exploring mindfulness, it really started opening up the door for me to start seeing where I was and what I wanted to do. You know, I had such an amazing opportunity coming back home to really make an impact in my own life. And unfortunately, a lot of that trauma got in the way. And what we realize is that over time, trauma stacks on trauma. And sometimes it's hard to break through those layers. And one of the things I'd like to introduce today is kind of one of those holistic approaches, actually a very ancient tool that we as humans have used for a very long time. And this is a singing bowl or a sound bowl. Now, this is a single note. This doesn't have any keys or anything else that you can play that kind of goes with it. But you do raise the vibration of the bowl. And I like to kind of start with a little history, a little science. So some accounts say that we've dated these back to ancient Mesopotamia at about between 5,000 and 6,000 years ago. But there we noticed is that this type of sound tool kind of spread through a lot of our original areas that our ancient civilizations grew up in. And they were using this tool. I like to kind of throw in the science now is everything that we experience, everything that we see, that we hear, that we touch, everything's vibrating, okay? Because if we look at matter, right, we go back to our early science lessons, matter is everything, right? Everything's made of matter. And so matter is energy condensed to a slow vibration. And so everything has vibrations at different frequencies. And so what we do with these tools is we raise the different vibrations, the different frequencies that also coincide with the 7 primary notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, with also the 7 primary chakras, root all the way up to crown, okay? And we raise that energy up the spinal cord. And what I usually do when I play these is I play them on a person. I'll have them seated kind of in the middle of a circle, and I actually take the bowl and I'll put it on their back and raise the vibration that way. So this is a different type of sound bath experience. It isn't something I typically do. So I'm really interested and really excited to introduce these to you. So I'd like to start with just a couple moments and everyone just getting, with whole health, everything is based on what matters most to you. So I invite you to, you can participate and use this as kind of a meditative practice, a little mindful moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with leading just a simple breathing exercise. And we're going to start with a grounding note, which is the note of C. Okay, so if you would like, you can be in a nice comfortable position. Just start by finding your breathing, your natural breath pattern. Don't try to change it, just notice it. Notice your breath where it's at. And visually, I want you to imagine at the base of your tailbone that you have this nice little energy center. And I want you to focus that. And I'm going to raise the vibration of that grounding note. And as we start there with our nice grounding breaths, you feel the resonance, the vibrations as it tips against our ears, our eardrum. Just any time that you might notice that your attention is taken away from your breath and being in this moment, just return to thinking about that breath. Just return to noticing it. The definition of mindfulness is being aware of what's happening inside of you and outside of you in this present moment without trying to change or judge it. As we continue up, I want you to imagine that energy that started at the base of your spine now goes up to around the midpoint between your solar plexus and your tailbone. This is the sacral chakra, played in the note of D. As you continue your breathing, any sensations, anything that you might experience, just notice it, and then allow yourself to continue being in this moment. As we continue to picture that energy in the sacral region, we're going to now move it up to the solar plexus, right here, kind of in the middle. We're going to push that energy up as I play the note of E. This is a very important portion, as this is the central focus for our breathing. All these primary functions of our internal organs, breathing in that life. As our breath, as you'll notice, as we're watching our breathing, is one of the few things that sustains our life that we have both complete control over and unconscious control. And that allows us to be in this moment, and is a reason that is the most simplest form of becoming mindfully aware. As we continue this practice, imagine this energy now moves up to the center. This is our heart chakra, our heart center. And if you can imagine yourself in this line, this is the center of all of your energy. And it's also the center of love, the love frequency. imagine that energy just flowing through our heart center. We now move that energy on up into the throat region. It's the throat chakra, played in the note of G. The embodiment of our truth. Nice deep breaths in through your nose. Gentle exhale through your mouth. So we now focus that energy up to the center point between our eyes and up just an inch or so, the third eye chakra. I like to say this is the point for sight unseen, and that connection back to the ability to see each other, and that connection that connects us all together. As we continue our breath, we now finally reach the seventh, our top chakra, for this exercise. It is the crown chakra. And just as we used C to ground us, we'll be using the note of B to surround us and kind of complete that circuit. With all of our energy taken in through that heart center, pushed up and down, and completes the circuit. Instrument that will play at a higher octave, which is called a tingsha bell. Again, using these vibrations, we have all of this energy that we've started with a grounding at the base of our spine and ending, just surrounding the rest of us out through the crown. As we continue our nice deep breath in through our nose. And out through your mouth. In this moment, you're able to feel this energy as it flows through you. And we talked about that love frequency. Again, this is something to be shared. We're meant to share this. And the more that we take time, even those small connections, checking out at the grocery store, whatever the case is, and you have that person in front of you and just saying hi, making that connection, giving out that love, I think is something we desperately all need more of. And that will conclude just kind of an introduction, a little demo of the singing bowls and Ting Shabelle. I really appreciate you all for participating with me. I hope that even if you just felt a little bit more relaxed, this is one of the therapies that I give. I can't call it a therapy. It's an offering that I give one particular group of my veterans up in the DOMSUD, or used to be called the SARTP program, our substance abuse inpatient program. And we'll go out to the park over next to the VA and do singing bowl treatments and have some mindful moments. And I've gotten various range of all sorts of responses back, some having very profound experiences and some just getting to be in the moment and have a little bit of clarity for the first time and not be kind of stuck. Because when I talk about mindfulness, I say, when we live in the past, it creates depression. When we live in the future, it creates anxiety. So as much of the present moment that we can be in, we're not necessarily affected by so much of this. We're not pulled. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I really, really deeply honored to be able to present and share these bowls with you. Thank you.
David, thank you so much. I usually am kind of nervous when I'm master of ceremonies or something like this. And I tell you what, the peace and calmness, I underwent microsurgery on my back about exactly 2 weeks ago. And when when you were moving through my body, I could sense kind of a vibration where that operation was. Now that might be not unusual for you to hear these stories, but I guess I never made a connection between sound, particularly that kind of sound, and energy. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you doing it. And thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm very calm now as I introduce a person who has always given me calmness. Our next keynote speaker here is Vasu Bandhu, and I am fortunate to know Vasu through connection with the Arizona Faith Network. Vasu is the Faith Community Coordinator for the Arizona Faith Network. This is an organization of representatives of a wide range of faith traditions. I really recommend it for those of you who want to broaden your spirituality connections. It's really has helped me to learn so much more about all these other traditions and so much commonality. It's connected me to the people in these other faith traditions. What he does in that capacity is sits in the development, coordination, implementation of programs. Vasu says that inner faith is his life's vocation. Being a volunteer in the interfaith movement since the age of 18, a founding member of the Interfaith Latino Youth Council, and collaborating with the United Religions Initiative, the Religions for Peace, and the Parliament of the World's Religions, among other interfaith organizations. He serves as the Buddhist community as the Maha Shuru in Zen Buddhism. Vasu is going to give us an overview of Buddhism, Zen Buddhism in particular, but also he's going to give you a little bit of depth and insight about how that, his spirituality and that sort of a thing. I'm always impressed. I've been to a couple of Vasu's presentations, and just like with David, he has an aura of peacefulness, and don't we need that today? So Vasu, I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you so much, Mike. I just want to confirm that everybody can hear me, okay? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate to have the opportunity to be here with you. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm honored by that. Thank you, David, for the beautiful practice of meditation. That really is deeply and very connected with my faith community. Thank you, Pat, for all you do. And thank you, each of you, for being here, for the time that you take to have these connections. I want to deeply thank you for the invitation. I appreciate all the efforts that each of you do to connect us in the diversity with our beloved veteran community. I'm so grateful to meet you, each of you, to see you here connected online. As you mentioned, Mike, I'm Vasu Bandhu and I serve as the Faith Community Coordinator for Arizona Faith Network. In my work, I deeply connect and deeply appreciate the opportunity to learning from the diverse religions and spiritualities. My practice is in Buddhism, and Buddhism focus in the connection and the practice of meditation on mindfulness. Interfaith, as we call when we connect with people of different religions, have the purpose to help the community through the diverse perspectives and diverse religions. Because we understand that society needs the help of the diversity. And we, as interfaith movement, we appreciate the diversity of the human family, and we want to support the human family for peace. The practice of mindfulness is a process of self-understanding and experience of peace, as David mentioned before. This practice can be found in the diverse religions from different perspectives and rituals. So you will be able to find in Christianity the practice of meditation when we pray, and also from Buddhism, we focus everything that we do into the practice of meditation on mindfulness. That's very essential in Buddhism. And I'm from the school that we call the Zen Buddhism. And specifically in Zen Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness focus in the silence. And as David connect with us today, we also have the singing voice. That's how we practice meditation. In my experience, practicing mindfulness helped me to connect more with harmony and peace and better understand of myself and everything that is around me, everything that is in the present moment. Appreciating the present moment. No worry, no fatigue, or turn my energy in the future or in the past, but instead of that, to focus in the present moment. So Buddhism explains that life is impermanent, that everything changes every time, every moment. And also Buddhism teach that every single human being and living being experience suffering. So in Buddhism, we try to find solution for that suffering. And we focus in mindfulness to find the solution of the suffering. So sitting in a moment of silence, as we did it with David, we focus on the present moment, is a beautiful way to practice meditation. Also in Buddhism, we have learning also, for example, to practice meditation when we walk. So taking a walking in the nature, being mindful of the nature that is around us, be mindful of the sounds of the nature. That's also another kind of practice of meditation that we do in Buddhism. Also, there is some Buddhist community that we practice meditation when we cook. For example, when we are cooking the food, we experience the silence, we experience the appreciation of cooking and the appreciation of the present moment when we are cooking and preparing the food for the community. So Buddhism invites us to take a moment to appreciate ourselves, our body, and everything that is around us. The practice of mindfulness can help our beloved veterans for the wellness, peace, and harmony. And as we did it with the singing bowls, I would like to invite each of us to take a moment every time when we want and when we have an opportunity, every day or every week, to just sit in and take a moment to be mindful in the way in which we breathe, in the way in which we inhale and how we exhale. I deeply appreciate that we are people of different identities, of diverse communities, diverse religions, because every single faith expression have a sacred way to connect us, mindful, to the eternity, to the spirituality. So I would like to invite us to deeply appreciate how our faith connects with the practice of mindfulness. This knowledge can be a great tool to help our veteran communities. The diverse religions, we want to help our veteran communities to live in peace and the well-being, relief and healing from the suffering and fears. I feel that is possible with the support of and from the diverse forms of knowledge and diverse religions. I appreciate that during this meeting, we are practicing meditation with the singing bowls. Thank you to our beloved veterans for the service that you do. From the various expressions of faith and religions, we are with you. We are with each of you. And we are interested in helping you in your well-being and mindfulness. I would love to keep in touch with each of you and to explore always the opportunities that we have from the diverse religions to help the veteran community. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much, each of you, for being here and to have the opportunity to help each other for the well-being. And thank you for your time to listen to me. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Vasu, and really appreciate your mentioning of the importance of diversity and looking at the different traditions. By Vasu's involvement in the Arizona Faith Network, he demonstrates that openness. And as we heard with David, this whole concept of mindfulness, it's made me aware. In fact, one of the things that I'm mindful of right now is I'm thanking God for the speakers, these three speakers that have really helped us and given us insight and been so open with us. I'm also thanking God now for our implementation team, which implements the strategies of our faith network and headed by Lee, and Dee is involved in that. Also, she's on our team. And kind of an unsung hero is Amanda. She's Thomas Winkle's admin, but she's admin on steroids. She's not just an admin. She's a valued member of the whole coalition. So, okay, so what we'd like to do now is to break out into some breakout groups. We're going to have 3 breakout groups. And let me just take a look here. I'll mention what those questions are that we're going to be dealing with. The first one would be, what was something that you heard during the presentations that has changed your way of thinking? And this is probably an important one too. What are some other healing practices that were not brought up today? You know, we tried to bring up a few, but as you know, there are many, many healing practices that can be very helpful. Again, I want to emphasize this whole concept of body, mind, and spirit. Many of the faith traditions across the world have taken this for granted, but our Western minds, thanks to the Greeks, I think, like to divide things. And our education systems tend to divide. And so body is over here, mind is over here, spirit is over here. But we all know that the integration of this is so important. So we're doing the breakout session. I will be finishing the breakout sessions at 11:25. So we'll be coming back in. I'll have a few closing words. Let Dee say a few things. Thank you. So why don't we go ahead now and break out into our 3 breakout sessions. At any rate, I hope everybody enjoyed the breakout sessions. We had a really wonderful session talking about additional modalities that we hadn't talked about. Talking about, one of the things was social media. We have a social media system, if you will, with the Be Connected, and we've got a bunch of great ideas on that. So I really appreciate you doing that. I wanted to thank some people. First of all, again, I want to thank the implementation team headed up by Lee, but also Dee and Amanda is on that team. I want to thank Ignacio and Leslie for kind of being behind the scenes, helping us with the Zoom. I want to thank our people that were facilitating, Connie, Elena, and Joy, for doing that. I'm going to turn it over. Dee, was there anything? Oh, there's a survey, and how is it going to be distributed? Is that on the chat, or is that going to be emailed to the participants?
We'll get that emailed out, Mr. Wall.
Okay, and I believe since this is recorded, this will be made available, and it'll be on the not only on our webpage for the Faith Network, but also anybody who signed up for this will get that. Some of them weren't able to do that. So anybody else, any comments, or are we ready to, as we were talking, Amanda and I said we're ready for breakfast now. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for being part of the network. And again, if there's any way we could help you folks, we'd sure be happy to do it. Any of your faith communities have veteran-related things going on that you want to invite other people to, we'd be happy to get that into our newsletter. So,
and Mike, I'd just like to add on that if you found this valuable, or think someone else that you're connected with is, please invite them to our next meeting on February 8th. We always come up with great presenters, and then we hope to see you at our symposium. That would be fantastic as well.
That's great. That's great. Oh, a little bit of a plug. Nativity Episcopal Church is having a veteran concert. You can just look up Nativity Episcopal Church. It's over on Hayden, and they're going to have a veteran concert at it was at 2 o'clock on the 6th of November, Sunday the 6th. And the funding that people will be asked for donations afterwards. They'll pass the hat. Since it's a church, they'll pass a basket, and people will be able to donate, and they'll donate that to a veteran organization. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, those events were featured in the newsletter as well. So,
yeah. Okay. Take care. Bye.